Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another banger video. In this video, I'm breaking down how I made my new track, Leave Just Yet. This track is one of my favorite tracks, like production wise, the chords and the melodies. The lyrics are dope, it connects to me a lot and I hope for you too. And if you haven't checked it out yet, bro, you're missing a banger. Just go listen to it once, you will love it. And even if you don't listen to drum and bass, I'm still pretty sure you will love the track. I hope so. Also, I made this track in a track from scratch video, but it was not the full one. So I will also recommend you to watch that video too if you haven't. And as you know, the Black Friday sales are everywhere. Also on my website, anasamirmusic.com, which will end on December 6th. The biggest sale you will get until the next Black Friday. So head over to anasamirmusic.com. All of my products have 40% off right now, or go big with the everything bundle, which is 60% off and consists of every paid product I have, which is a total of 25 products, and you will get 2 bonuses. First is this vlog style track. And second bonus is this track exclusively only on Everything Bundle. So if you have already got my Everything Bundle, head over to your purchase email and click on the download to download the new bonuses which I added today. Alright, enough yapping. Let's dive straight into the video. We start with the intro, verse, build up, then drop. And you will have the timestamps available too. So the intro sounds like this.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna feel like this now. I don't wanna feel like this no more.
Nothing crazy, pretty simple, so let's start with the vocals. So the vocals were already processed, so I did not have to do a lot. Without effect, it sounds like this.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna feel like this now.
And for the effects, I'm just adding this compressor with all good vocal preset. And to be honest, I literally don't know why I'm adding this. It's just boosting the volume a bit and making it dynamically balanced. Then the EQ, and you can see I'm just boosting certain frequency ranges slightly.
Hide away, run away.
Then a DSR to get rid of the S and F sounds. So without the DSR, it sounds like this.
Wanna feel like this now.
With it,
Wanna feel like this now.
so as you can hear, the S and F sounds a bit softer. Then a kickstart, which is actually for the drop vocals. So yeah, that's for the vocals processing. Very simple. And then I'm adding reverb and delay. So it sounds like this.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna feel like this now.
For the reverb, I'm adding Valhalla Room with 100% mix because we only need the wet signal, and then a big decay with some low cut, then this EQ to cut the low end and some low mids. And for some reason, as you can see, I'm boosting the high end here, but with this EQ, I'm totally cutting the high end. So first you can see with this EQ, I'm reducing the low mids. On this EQ, I'm just cutting down everything below 392 Hz and above 4K Hz. Without this EQ, it sounds like this.
Hide away, run away.
You can see reverb has a lot of high end, so we have to control that. And as you can see, I'm also reducing at 500 Hz.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna feel like this now.
You can easily hear the muddy frequency here, so I'm just reducing it a bit. Then I'm also reducing some frequencies at 1.2K Hz.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna feel like this now.
You can easily hear there's a lot of harsh frequencies. And then a fruity balance which I'm not using. So yeah, that's it for the reverb. And same for the delay. A delay with 100% mix and the ping pong delay. Then this EQ to reduce the low mids. And another EQ to again cut the high end and reducing some low end frequencies. And I'm also reducing it slightly at 1K Hz by 0.3 dB. And altogether, this sounds pretty sick.
Hide away, run away.
Then I'm controlling the reverb and delay automation to fill the empty space between the vocals. So it sounds like this.
It's no more. Think I'm right.
Then we have a Reese bass.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna feel like this now.
This Reese bass is from my sound bank. On these Reese bass, I'm adding these 2 EQs. I'm gonna go in detail because I got a request on my Discord server to cover it. So I gotta do it for the family. Definitely join my Discord server, link is in the description. So if you listen to the bass without these EQs, it sounds like this.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna.
As you can easily hear, this Reese bass is a bit aggressive, but it also has a nice low end. So I decided to add this first EQ to reduce the low mid and the bass region, so that we can have a bit more soft bass.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna feel like this now.
But still I can feel that I can reduce more, and you can even hear it because the intro is not aggressive like bass house or stamped bass house track where you need aggressive bass. But this type of intro needs a soft Reese bass with a nice low end. So I added another EQ to reduce the low mids, and now it sounds dope.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna feel like this now.
And then I'm adding Soothe too, which is linked to the impacts, because impacts also has low end, so we need to make sure they don't clash. As you can see, these impacts are linked to the bass, and I'm adding Soothe too, which ducks down the bass frequencies when the impacts hit.
Hide away, run away. I don't wanna feel like this now.
so that it sounds more clean. Now, the rest is just atmospheric samples and effects. These are the ambiances, like a stack of ambient samples. And they are different from each other and even different purpose. This one is just a nature sound. Very simple. Then this loop has a nice texture and lot of movement. And this loop has a nice vocal texture and a melody. And then some drones. Sounds pretty full. And this one is just sounds pretty dope. Now for the effects, on these layers, I'm just adding serum effects for reverb and delay. And on this one, I'm adding a separate reverb because I wanted a bit less reverb on it in comparison to the drones. And these two layers are as it is because they already sounded good, so no need to process them. Now, transition. As you can notice, there's a similarity that all of them have sweep in and sweep out portion, which is very helpful for smooth transition. So this impact also has the sweep in and sweep out portion. And this ambient shot which does not have the sweep in effect, so I just duplicate it. And by the way, I just found this shortcut to make a sample unique. Just hold shift and V and drag your sample. It will automatically duplicate it and make it unique. Almost 7-8 years of using FL Studio, and I just learned about this few days ago. So I reverse it, so it sounds like this. And this reverse shot which really helps to introduce the new section. And on this I'm adding fruity delay, ping pong delay and a reverb, so it does not stop abruptly. Without it, it sounds like this. And with it, you get the tail. So that is for the intro, and now we move on to the verse. Now again for transition, I just added this new tambourine transition with a ping pong delay to cover the stereo spectrum. So altogether it sounds like this. And I'm also adding this ambient shot which creates a lot of tension. So without it, it sounds like this. Now for the synths, we have two new elements. First is this chord. These chord magic is coming from Fluid Chords too. It's a pretty sick plugin, especially for FL users where you cannot add glide with third-party plugins like Serum 2 and Vital. Where in Ableton, you can easily use the MPE support, which is crazy. By the way, it's not sponsored or anything, but if any plugin company wanna promote their product, just email me because I need this. The first layer is the Serum layer from my Eclipse sample pack, chord break. The other layer is this one, and it sounds like this. So this is the chord progression. Now let me show you one thing. So this region is the most prominent frequency region of the chord. So if I reduce it totally, you can barely hear the chords.
Think I'm right, think I'm wrong, always second.
As you can hear, you can barely hear the chords. So this is the most prominent region of the chord, which means if we reduce a bit in this region, we can easily create space for the vocals. And now if I do the same EQ here, you can still hear the chords because this is not the prominent region of the chord.
Think I'm right, think I'm wrong, always second guessing myself.
Then the cymbal pluck. I'm adding frequency shifter, and vibrato, RC20 and a big reverb. And for some reason, no EQing. Then after that, I'm adding this sick guitar loop which sounds like this. But you know what? Originally it sounded like this. And you can hear it sounded too low, so I just pitched it up by 1 octave. And for the processing, as you all have guessed it, it has a nice ping pong delay, then a small reverb and this EQ. So as you can see, the guitar also has some nice low end frequencies. Now I don't want to cut the low end because it will make the guitar sound thin. So with this EQ, if I cut the low end totally, you can hear it sound thin. But with this EQ, you get the low end, but in less amount, so you get a perfect balance. So with the EQs, you need to know where you have to cut the frequencies and where you have to reduce the frequencies, which comes with experience, like trying out on different things and comparing it. And also a slight duck at 2.5 kHz. I'm also creating space for the vocals because we are adding a lot of new sounds, so we need to create space for the vocals. Now in the verse, I also added some top loops to introduce the rhythm and movement. But one thing you can notice is that there is a filter automation, so it gets gradually introduced in the mix, like smoothly. You can hear the difference without this automation.
Thinking right, thinking wrong.
And with this automation, it sounds like this.
Thinking right, thinking wrong.
So you can hear it gets gradually introduced in the mix, which sounds pretty cool. And by the way, these things are up to you. So if I'm using this in this song, it does not mean you should also do it in your every song. So you need to answer why you need these effects. Like for this song, I wanted the drums to get introduced gradually, not right at the moment when the verse starts. So I hope you get the point. So these are the layers. And this cool shaker, which is pretty dope. So without any effects, it sounds like this. So as you can hear, it's a very simple sound, but I added a bunch of things to make it more unique, and that's how you create cool sounds. So the first thing is the shaper box with percussion preset. As you can hear, it adds a lot of texture. And now that it has a nice texture, I'm adding chroma. So it sounds like this. Then a floating compressor, then the CQ to cut the low end. As you can hear, it has a ping pong delay. Then again shaper box with panning, then a G-clip to cut the peaks, then Soothe 2 to remove the unwanted frequencies like this. And then this percussion for high end. And yeah, that's it for the verse. Now we transition to the pre-build. So the transition effects are same, the synths are also same. I think everything is pretty much the same. I'm just adding these two things. First is this perk. And as you can tell, I'm adding a ping pong delay here too. But you know why? Because there is a cool breathing effect in loop which is pretty nice if it goes left and right. So listen to it without the delay. It's not that cool, but with the ping pong delay, it sounds dope. You can hear it sounds way more cooler with the panning effect. And then the sick art from Atmos pack. And again, as you can see, I'm introducing it gradually with the filter automation. And then there's nothing new here. Now we transition to the build-up. And speaking of transition, you can see I'm adding more samples with in and out effect for a smooth transition. So I added a bunch of build-up drums. It's a simple clap with the pitch automation. And this build-up loop. I can show you a pretty cool thing. So this loop without effect sounds like this. So first I'm adding a frequency shifter to make it sound pitched up. So it sounds like this. And this EQ reducing the high mid because I felt like there is some harsh frequencies here. More drum loops. Then bunch of downlifters, uplifters and risers. So all the effects and drums sounds like this. The sick drum fill. And this cool impact. Now for the synths, we have the same bass, same chord. The only new thing is the drop lead. But here's also one thing which I don't usually do in my production. So every time I work on the build-up, I just simply copy the drop melody as it is. But in this track, I'm not doing that. So at the starting, I'm introducing the melody because I have to set up the melody for the drop, or it will come out of nowhere in the drop. But in the second half, I did not continue the drop melody. I used it as a riser. So you can hear in this portion, it goes like ta-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra-ra, which feels like it's stuck. But suddenly it breaks it and goes up, which creates a sick riser kind of effect. And that's why I love this track. Like I have tried a lot of new things in this song. Now the build-up automation. Like my regular viewers mostly know this. So first I'm adding this volume automation for all the Atmos to reduce the volume before the drop. Then the volume automation on the master. Then a high pass automation to cut the bass frequencies right before the drop. And all together they make the drop sound more fuller and louder. Now the drop, for which you guys are waiting for. So let's start with the drums. So the kick without effect sounds like this. So in drum and bass, I usually go for short and punchy kick. So first I add the shaper box to make it short. Then I add this EQ to boost the high end. Then a transient shaper to decrease the sustain. Then at last a clipper. And then we have 3 snares. So this is the first layer, the main layer. Then second layer. And the color layer. Now on the main layer, I'm just adding this EQ to cut the unnecessary lows. Then I'm adding a transient shaper. Then I'm slightly reducing the sustain. Then on the second layer, I'm adding this EQ. So first I'm reducing the body of the snare. This is the body. If we compare the snares with the EQ and without the EQ, it sounds like this. And you can hear that it blends together nicely. Then this color snare, again doing something which I don't usually do. So the first thing I'm adding on this snare is the chroma. So without any effect, the snare sounds like this. So first I'm adding this chroma. Then EQ to reduce the body of the snare, then ODT, then a transient shaper to reduce the sustain and to boost some attack, then at last a stereo shaper. So without it, it sounds like this. And with stereo shaper, it sounds like this. Now if we check it with the rest of the snares and without the stereo shaper, it sounds like this. The snare is more in center, like not that wide, but with the stereo shaper on, it sounds more wide, and as a whole, the snare sounds wide and punchy. But remember, I'm not adding the stereo shaper on the main snare, I'm just adding it on one of the layers. Now, a bunch of top loops. Top loops have different rhythms, so they sound full together. So this is the first layer. This one is more fast, and there's some cymbal loops. Bunch of crashes and downlifters. Then the second part of the drop added more rides and top loops. Then on the top loops, I'm adding transient shaper to control the sustain, like I want to make it more choppy. So without any effects, it sounds like this. And with transient shaper, it sounds like this. Then EQ to just cut the low end frequencies, and I'm also adding this sidechain on top loops, so it acts only when the kick plays, which helps to create space for the transient of the kick. And on the final drum bus, just a clipper, that's it. Then I added bunch of drum fills to add more groove. Now the drop stabs. Then a vocal layer which consists of these two layers. And on it, I'm just adding chroma, OTT and the CQ. And then this layer for texture. And all together it sounds like this. Then we have these bass shots. That's pretty much it for the drop stabs. Now the drop synths. Let's start with the drop leads. So these are the layers. Now the automations are playing huge role here. So first is this rate automation, which is basically controlling the chorus pitch. So first we have this LFO which is linked to the chorus pitch, and the rate is set to Hertz, and I'm controlling the rate with this macro. So the automation looks like this. And I'm adding this same effect on this layer too. Then the second automation is pitch automation. And at last reverb automation. So leads without automation sounds like this. Very simple, flat and boring, but with automation it comes alive. So for the effects, I'm adding decapitator for distortion, then OTT, then EQ to cut the low end, then wave shaper, again EQ to cut the low end, then delay, Valhalla room for automation, then soothe, which is removing these frequencies. And at last G-clip. Then it's linked to the sidechain bus where I'm adding two kickstart. First is for the kick and second is for the snare. Now the bass. So the bass line is more kind of future housey. So these are the layers. For the processing on the mid bass, just camel crusher, OTT, then EQ to cut the hand frequencies to create space for the leads, then decapitator, then again EQ to shape the sound, then a Pro Cube to reduce the mids and highs. So listen to the bass and leads without this EQ. You can hear the bass is more present in the mids and highs, so I simply reduce it. Then another EQ to reduce the highs, mids and low mids. Check out the leads and bass without these two EQs. You can easily hear the bass is right on your face, that it has a lot of high ends and mids, that you cannot focus on the leads right now. So I added these EQs to create space for the leads, like creating a nice separation between them. So the leads covers the high end and the bass covers the low end, and this is the sidechain for the bass. Now the drop chords. These are literally the same patch from Puzzle Remake and Echoes in Motion. Nothing special. Then on the color layers, I'm adding vocodecs, then patcher with bunch of OTTs, EQ and saturation, then again EQ to shape the sound. Then it's linked to the final chord channel where I'm adding OTT, EQ, decapitator, more EQs to shape it, then TDR Nova like dynamic EQ, then a clipper, then kickstart for sidechain. And these are the normal chord layers. Now the B part. So we have only two layers. First layer is this bass sign. Then second layer is lead limitless. Both are from my CM2 sound bank. So on the bass sign, I'm adding just distortion. That's it. Then on the lead limitless, I'm adding these two EQs to shape it. Then more distortion. Then with this EQ, I'm boosting the highs. And for some reason, I'm keeping the bass from both the synths, which is weird. But if it works, then don't touch it. Alright, then we have the C part, or should I call it a transition part. So here I just used a bass loop. So initially it was like this. And it sounds like too much is going on here because we have a lot of things going on here, especially the vocals. So we don't have to make a clutter of random sounds. That's why I kept it simple. And this guitar loop from the break which is playing throughout the drop. Then in the second part of the drop, I'm just adding this counter melody. And then I'm adding some ear candies like this. So I'm automating the format of the vocals. Then EQ to cut the low end. Now the rest of the song. And to be honest, it's pretty much the same. Because I wanted that listeners should focus more on the vocals, the lyrics, rather than the production like chords and cool synth stuff. I'm just adding these format effects.
Oh, it's so distracted. I don't like this no more.
And this cool vocal shot. For effects, wave shaper, little alto boy, then ping pong delay, then round for reverb, then more EQ. Then we transition to the second pre-build. And here I wanted to add a variation, or otherwise it would sound like a copy paste. So I found a cello on Splice and it sounded pretty dope. Everything is pretty much the same, like the ups, the ambiances. The new thing is this reverse shot. Sounds like this.
I'm trying to be the best version of everything all at once.
Then we have the same build up and everything is same. Then we have this fake out drop. It's not a fake drop, but I just did a 4x4 kick pattern. And we have some transition elements like these. Very simple and nothing crazy. That's it for the whole track. Now for the mastering, it's very simple. EQ to create headroom. I'm reducing -2 dB. Then another EQ for automation. Then this EQ for build-up automation. Then we have this Pro Q and I'm making sure everything below 150 Hz is mono. Then I'm also cutting everything below 20 Hz. Then I'm boosting the bass frequencies and also reducing at 130 Hz. Then I'm adding Gulfos, then multiband compressor which is just like boosting the mids so it sounds a bit louder on the phone speaker. Then Suit 2 using Master by Goodwin 2 preset. Then God Particle which literally kills my CPU. Then Pro L2, then at last a clipper to make sure it's not clipping. So yeah, that's my master chain. Very simple master chain. Now let me show you a cool thing. So this is the final export folder and as you can see I have 5 exports if you ignore this one. So when I export the final master, I listen to it again and again and compare it with other reference songs which helps me to find like some mixing issues and stuff. So you can see I have did that 5 times and the 6th time I decided alright, it's finished. Now it's time to release it. Now I'm gonna talk about how to release a song and promote it kind of stuff. So first of all, you have to choose a specific distribution service. So some famous ones are DistroKid, TuneCore and Lander which I use, and there's ton of paid and free ones. So yeah, search which suits you the best and search how to release a song using XYZ distribution and then you can find a bunch of tutorials on YouTube. Now I'm gonna talk about the real thing, the promotion stuff. So in this Instagram and TikTok era, you have to make content around your songs to promote it. It's 2025, like it's almost 2026. This is the new meta. You have to do it because everyone is doing it, from the top DJs to upcoming producers. So don't be afraid uploading content around your song. Now how I plan to promote it. So first, when you're distributing the song, you can select your release date. So I'm gonna take Warmth of Your Light as an example, and it did not get big numbers like 100k, 50k or even 10k, but it performed very well for me as a self-release song. So let's just say the release date is set to 25th of July. I started posting content around it on 5th of July, and also like I took a long break, but I recommend you to post at least 4 or 5 pieces of content before the release date and at least 3 or 4 content after the release day. Like you have to anticipate it, and maybe you can feel like you are annoying your followers with reposting your song again and again, and I feel the same. But you have to be shameless because it's your song, your hard work, and it's your duty to promote it as much as you can. You can see I'm making this long video which is helping you guys, but it also helping me to promote my song, and it's like a give and take situation. And if I show you my YouTube shorts, you can see I have uploaded the same content on here too. So you can upload daily if you want, but I don't recommend it. It's too time consuming, and also you can see my trust the process reel perform very well, so I did it few more times. I hope you are getting the idea of how you can promote it. I hope I have covered everything in detail and you have learned some new things. So let me know in the comments, did you enjoy the video or not? And again, the Black Friday sale is live, but it will end soon on 6th December, and I will meet you in the next one. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.